Video in a series of videos about the development of a color picker application. So what we've done so far is we were able to create a color viewer, and I'm going to show you all of this. We created a color viewer, and the idea was for different colors to be displayed on the color viewer, and then you can have a mix of colors which you can control with switches and sliders. And this part of the course, the whole idea is to create a reset button that would help set the switches and the sliders back to their original values as soon as you're done manipulating the color palette. So I'm gonna go right now and take us straight to the code, and this is me running the code so you can see what's going on here. So this is what we have with the code. Yes, so this is the color viewer where the color displays, and you have 3 sliders, and beside them you also have 3 switches, and then as you turn the switches on, you can manipulate the color combinations, and all of that will be displayed on the color viewer. So the next thing we want to do right now is to include switches. Now if you look at this, after manipulating your colors and getting different color combinations on your palette, there's no way to actually reset the values of the switches and the slides, like reset them back to the original values. So what we want to do right now is to be able to use a button to do that reset. Now don't allow. So what for buttons are actually very commonly used in app development. They are really very common, and the purpose of buttons is usually to send instructions to the back office or your code area, like the assistant editor area, which is this area. So you can include a button and you can send instructions back there and have things executed. That's what the button is all about in this case. So I'm going to start by first creating a button, and you can do that by clicking this plus, which is the object library. As you click it, you want to go back to I have to click here first, then click here. So to get the user interface, you want to click on this surface. So I click that, and then I have my buttons. If the button wasn't visible here, as is the case with some other user interface that are further down, because if you scroll up, you're gonna see all of that. You see like your switch here, so and your slider here. All you need to do is just go type button, and then button comes in view, and then you drag down to the bottom. Now observe the guidelines. You see the vertical and the horizontal guidelines have been able to help you situate it at an appropriate point that's equidistant from 2 ends of the phone surface. So the next thing you want to do is you want to double click and then give it a name, and I'm using reset as the title or the name of my button. So once I have that, next thing I want to do is to create a connection between the button and my code area, right, which is my assistant editor. So you click on the reset button, control, and then you drag to this area just underneath the curly braces, and then you can see the connection is an action. So what we're trying to do is to create an action, some kind of method that's a connection, so that once I tap my reset button, whatever is within the function or the method we are going to create right now will be activated. So let's call it reset. That's what we call this. But notice the specific event. This event is called touch up inside. There are different kinds of events, but for the button, this is one of the most common events. So you click your connect, and then it's created your method. So let me go up a little bit, you know, and down, so that it's central and visible. So once I have this done, one of the things I want to check, you can see this is the connection. As I highlight this circle, the concentric circle, all of a sudden you can see this comes on. It comes on, so which shows there is a connection. Another way to go look at that connection is come to the top here, click. Let me go back. First of all, before you click that, you want to click this. Sorry, click your reset button and then go click here, and then this shows up. If it doesn't come on, make sure you're clicking this particular the connections inspector, because that's what shows it. If you go click all the other things, you're not going to see it, but make sure you click your connections inspector, and you can see the connection here. Because I highlighted it, is showing me the touch up inside, which is the specific event that is connected to that button, and your view controller. So I'm gonna go back. So that's what we have here. We literally have that connection made. So right now I want to be able to define those conditions, right? The specific my initialization conditions for the switches and my sliders. So I'm going to start by writing red. Let's start with the switches. Tab is on, which is a specific property that says that the red switch is on. So it's going to be either false or true. So we're trying to say, hey, the red switch is on, let's say false. In other words, we are starting with it turned off, right? So I want to copy this, and I want to do that for each of the switches. So that's I highlighted Command C and then Command V again. So I've done it for the red switch. I want to do it for the green switch, so I'll modify this to green, and then I do the same thing for the blue switch. Right? So that's me done there. But for the sliders, remember, the slider is not on or off. You're moving from 0 to 1. So it's a graduation scale from 0 to 1. So we're not going to have an on, a false or true, but we're going to have some kind of scale. So let's say I'm going with red slider. So we're talking about the slider now. And same thing, dot value, because we are looking for the value, how far you scrolled, equals to 1, right? So let me copy this, Command C, and I would Command V. So let's change this to green, I guess, green and blue, right? So this is fully turned on because you're moving from 0 to 1, fully turned on for each of them. And one more thing you want to do is you want to update the color, so that whenever the button is clicked, there's an update of the color, because you're literally calling this function, right? So that's what you want to do. So let's run the program right now and see how we have done. Yeah, So the build seems to have succeeded. So I turn this on, turn this on, turn this on, and I can change things around, and I have different color combinations, and they are being displayed in the color palette or the view color area. So if I want to reset this, all I need to do is go click reset, which wasn't available to us before, and guess, from what you see here, red switch is on, false. So this is false, false, false. This is it going back on, but right now it's false, false, false. And then for the red scale, green scale, blue scale, they are fully at 1, and that's why it's drawn from this point to this point. So let's try to say, let's make it 0, you know, which is literally it's also turned off, or at the extreme end, which is somewhere here. So let's run it again and see what happens. Boom. So I turn this, move things around, move things around, turn this around. Let's try to reset and see what happens. If we reset, you see it has moved from here to here because it's all 0, and this is also turned off. So that's our reset. But let me go turn it back on, because that was our original intent, that the sliders will be on even though the switches are turned off. So I hope you get the gist of what we're doing here. So turn things on, manipulate the colors, go somewhere, and then we can reset. And I hope you've been able to capture a few ideas, and you know how to be able to you know, develop this part of the app. I will speak to you. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section. Thank you again for watching.